So let me speak about why we're here today. As you know, the United Nations has recently launched the second International Decade for People of African Descent. And so we wanted to think about, what does that mean for us in the Caribbean? I am Gaynell Curry, and I am the Vice Chair of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. And I have with me Dr. June Suma, immediate past chair of the Permanent Forum. So we wanted to have a discussion here in the Bahamas, and we're hoping to do it across the Caribbean. We're hoping to do it across the Caribbean to have a discussion about what should the second decade look like for us. And as we thought about it, what should it look like for the Bahamas? A big part of that is, and I think we have help with the microphone. Is that better? Yeah. Oh, so I'm not shouting. I won't have a sore throat at the end. Thank you very much. So a big part of what we thought, an important part of what is important to people of African descent in this region, and in the Bahamas in particular as well, is what happened in Haiti, right? And I always say, as the Permanent Forum looks at issues of reparations, reparatory justice in our work, we say there cannot be any discussion, any real discussion on reparations without a full and thorough discussion on Haiti and the situation of restitution and justice for the ransom that they were forced to pay at the time of their independence, and the debt that they continue to pay even today. So I want to read a little bit. Some of you would have heard about why we're doing this. I'm going to discuss a little bit more, and then I'm going to tell you how we're going to arrange the morning. This is intended to be a closed session that actually allows us to think strategically about what can we do, how can we support the process, how can we move this agenda forward in terms of restitution and reparatory justice for Haiti. Now, many people would have said, and we've been on a number of talk shows this week, why aren't you looking at the current reality of Haiti? That is important too. We haven't forgotten it. But we cannot forget about what happened in the past. And that's a big part of resolving what is happening today. So I've had a chance to meet and work with a number of persons in the room, so I'm very happy also to have Monique here. We have worked on this issue in several spaces, at the UN, at Georgetown, and a few other places, so it's really NYU as well, I think. So it's been really talking about this issue and saying, what can we do? So today is really intended to be a dialogue, a discussion, and also some strategic thinking. So let me say a little bit about the rationale from the university's perspective. So the University of the Bahamas, in partnership with Equality Bahamas, and thank you, Alicia Wallace, for always being good partners with us. The National Reparations Committee, we have the chair in the back there, you've met her, Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. She's also our colleague and a faculty member at the university and in this faculty of social sciences. So thank you for your awesome work, Nyambi. We're honored to co-sponsor a landmark dialogue on reparatory justice, looking at the Haitian context. The broader struggles of the socio-economic and human rights-centered justice is what we want to think about for Haiti. And so we also are very pleased to be partnering with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, UUSC. The board is with us today. Can the board members just put their hands in the air so we see who you are? Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. And other partners in the room. We have, I believe, also colleagues from from throughout the university, and also from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and a few others that have been working on Haiti and on the Haitian situation, who can also discuss with us today. So this gathering really is a deep historical and of deep symbolic significance for us. It will be a signature event for the Bahamas, also for the launch of the second decade, and we're happy to connect that to the importance of our relationship with Haiti, our brothers and sisters in Haiti. The members of the Permanent Forum have been really promoting the issue of restitution and reparatory justice for Haiti, and we're happy to bring that discussion to the Bahamas and to the Caribbean. We have a couple of objectives today that I want to share with you, and I'm going to ask my colleague maybe to share these objectives on the board. I shared them with you in an email earlier. Maybe we can think about sharing that. But the first objective is to advance regional and global dialogue on reparatory justice with a focus on Haiti. That was our first objective today. The focus on Haiti, but in a broader Caribbean context. Our second objective today is to facilitate knowledge exchange. There's so much, a wealth of knowledge in here today. So I think there's an opportunity for us to exchange our knowledge, our experiences, and to try to come up with possible solutions and suggestions as to how we can do this work better at all levels, including at the grassroots level. We need to have the buy-in of populations of the population in Haiti at the grassroots level, as well as in the diaspora. And of course, we need to also have the support of scholars and thinkers on this issue, and we need to have the support of our governments and leaders. But sometimes our governments and leaders may need a little support in terms of policy suggestions and guidance as to how to do it better. I wouldn't say right, better. Having a more human rights, people-centered approach, and not so much of a political approach. So thirdly, we want to position UB, and we had a chance to speak with our president about this, and he is so excited to have all of you here. We want to position the University of the Bahamas as a regional hub on human rights and related issues. So this is one that we hold near to us, the rights of people of African descent. And so the justice and legacies for enslavement, for the colonialism that we experienced, we want the university to be a hub. So that's our third objective of the day, to try to see how we can think about having the university as a hub for this discussion. And I know we can start by trying to find a little better spaces, maybe. Our executive board room is the best we could have done for you today, but we're going to be thinking about this. And if you have suggestions, let us know. Fourthly, we will mark the national launch later this afternoon of the second United Nations Decade on People of African Descent. We mentioned it this morning, but we'll speak about it in more detail this afternoon. And finally, we hope to strengthen partnerships with all of you. The University of the Bahamas is open to having partnerships with all of you. So please do reach out to us. We're doing excellent work, excellent research. I have some of my colleagues in the room who are doing that type of research, and we're happy to engage you.
For the translator, please.
I am going a bit fast, sorry. I'm usually a slow speaker. I'm excited. The room is full. So those were the 5. So advance regional and global dialogue, facilitate knowledge exchange, position UB, the University of the Bahamas, as a regional hub on human rights and related issues. I should say that we're happy to have the United Nations Office for Human Rights now based here in Nassau, Bahamas, and they're covering the Caribbean region. And I want to say that the Bahamas fought hard to have that office here because we want to be that hub for human rights in the region. Fourthly, to mark the national launch of the second international decade for people of African descent. And fifthly, to strengthen partnerships. And I repeated that for the interpreter there who asked for it to be done a little bit slower. Okay, so here is what we're going to do today. I said that this should be a working session, So we will start off with a set of speakers who will sort of set the stage for us to be able to break out into smaller groups and to discuss a couple of key questions that we're going to project on the slides for you shortly. But our speakers will set the pace, set us up here today. And we have a number of speakers lined up and who will come and share their experiences, their knowledge, their expertise on the issue of restitution and reparatory justice for Haiti, and to come up with some recommendations. At the tail end of it all, I will also share with you a position paper of the key recommendations coming from that position paper prepared by the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. Some of you who were at our last session, and I see some familiar faces, may have heard it already in some form, but I think it's worth repeating today so that we can see what we, as the experts on the Permanent Forum, have identified as priorities and a strategic approach to address it, to ensure that. And we can say that last year, during the commemoration of 200 years of the payment of the ransom, we had a session at the United Nations in New York, very well attended, very well supported, and just to have the room full of supporters for Haiti. People were chanting Haiti and free Haiti and reparations and restitution for Haiti. It was truly moving. It was truly moving. I think both Monique and I shared some tears that day. It was truly moving. Yeah. So just to say, I will share a bit of that toward the end. But what I want to do is start with the speakers and invite a few people to say some words to us, and then we will share with you the questions as we break into smaller groups for a quick discussion. Not a quick discussion. I would say about an hour, actually, an hour to present this morning, an hour to share in our small groups, and then an hour to come back and share. We're a little bit behind, so we may need to shorten some of that, but that was the idea. So I will say that we have a list of persons, and I will call you up in no particular order. Unless you want to go first, you can put your hand up. But I have Jackson Jane, Monique Kleska, Colette Lespinas, Tracy Assing, and myself to speak. But before we call our first speaker, I would like to share a video message from Commissioner Marian Bethel from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. She's not with the court, she's with the Commission on Human Rights, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And she has prepared a pre-recording. Marian is a Bahamian who represents us on the commission, but more importantly, she is an advocate for human rights and gender justice. She is also, in her newest capacity as a commissioner with the Inter-American Commission, she is the rapporteur for Haiti for the commission. So I want us to take a few minutes and just listen to Marian Bethel Sears in her pre-recorded message. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone, And I thank Rachel Freed, Vice President of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, for inviting me to present at this symposium. I also thank the partners at the University of the Bahamas, Gaynell Curry and Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean, and also Alicia Wallace of Equality Bahamas for convening this important event. It is an honor to join this dialogue on Haiti, particularly the discussion of its present human rights situation within the framework of human rights in the Americas. Haiti occupies a unique and profoundly significant place in the history of the Americas. The Haitian Revolution affirmed the universality of freedom, human dignity, and self-determination. Further, the Haitian Independence Declaration of 1804 defined slavery as a crime and abolished it. Haiti then became the first nation in the world to legislate a provision of democratic freedom for all human beings. It enforced this law at a time when other countries in the Americas were enforcing and deepening their slave codes. Yet, the country's post-independence trajectory was deeply shaped by external pressures and structural injustices, whose consequences continue to resonate to today. Reflecting on Haiti's present context, therefore, requires us to take into account the historical conditions which have contributed to its chronic instability. In regard to democracy, institutional fragility, and strengthening, Haiti today faces a multidimensional crisis affecting democratic governance, security, and the rule of law. Political institutions are operating in an environment marked by insecurity, humanitarian pressure, and limited state capacity, which is directly impacting the state's ability to guarantee basic services and ensure the enjoyment of fundamental rights by its population. As we know, the Transitional Presidential Council, which had been established to guide Haiti's political transition, concluded its mandate on February 7th, 2026, as scheduled, without presidential elections having been held. Executive authority was subsequently transferred to the Cabinet of Ministers under the leadership of Prime Minister Alix Didier Fils-Aimé. While the Council has undertaken efforts to promote institutional normalization and lay the groundwork for elections, persistent insecurity and limited state presence significantly constrained progress. These circumstances illustrate the profound governance and security challenges that continue to affect Haiti's democracy. Moreover, the justice system continues to experience severe resource and security constraints, contributing to high levels of impunity and widespread pretrial detention in precarious conditions. While there are immediate governance challenges, they must also be understood in the context of long-standing institutional fragility shaped by historical and economic constraints. Haiti's constitution enshrines the equality of women, including their right to participate fully in the public affairs of their nation. Further, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights highlights the need for women's meaningful participation in peace processes and citizen security engagement, particularly in the context of democratic stability in Haiti. Centering women's leadership and specific priorities and needs in conflict situations and transitions recognizes the practice of the Women, Peace, and Security agenda. It establishes that when women are included, outcomes are more effective and sustainable. The Women, Peace, and Security agenda explicitly recognizes the imperatives to, one, ensure the active participation by women in conflict resolution, peace building, and the shaping of national transitions, and two, the centering of women's specific needs and priorities during conflict in its aftermath and as part of transitional efforts. In Haiti's specific context, women have long played transformative roles in preparing for and responding to crises and natural disasters, mobilizing for democratic reform and advancing human rights, all while facing high barriers to public engagement. And so failure to fully respect the rights of Haitian women and girls undermines the pathway to justice, self-determination, and democracy. In regard to gender-based violence, the Commission remains deeply alarmed by the escalation of sexual violence against women and girls. In 2025, the Commission noted that several UN entities have documented a sharp rise in sexual violence against women, mainly rape, gang rape, and sexual slavery. In gang-controlled areas, women, girls, and adolescents are subjected to sexual assault in both public and private spaces, often in broad daylight, as well as to kidnappings and killings during gang attacks. Widespread impunity in cases of sexual violence persists, along with limited access to comprehensive support services, including legal, psychosocial, and health services. Furthermore, cultural and social barriers, resource constraints, and insecurity continue to hinder women's access to reproductive healthcare services. These acts of violence are not isolated incidents and occur with environments shaped by inequality, insecurity, and institutional breakdown. It is noted that women and girls often face enormous barriers in accessing medical care, protection measures, and justice. The resulting impunity further entrenches discrimination and vulnerability. Haiti has ratified international and regional conventions, including the Inter-American Convention on the Prevention, Punishment, and Eradication of Violence Against Women, also known as the Belém do Pará Convention, in 1997. All of these conventions safeguard women's rights, including the right to be free from gender-based violence and discrimination, and to have effective access to justice and reparations. Haiti's women and girls are entitled to live free from public and private violence. I now turn to climate justice. According to Inter-American Development Bank information, Haiti is highly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, with a variety of factors that exacerbate its vulnerability to those effects, such as its geographical location, deforestation and soil degradation, high poverty rates, low institutional capacity, and, as mentioned, political instability. These effects are magnified by natural disasters, displacement, and food insecurity. Nearly half of Haiti's population, around 5.7 million people, face acute hunger with a real risk of famine. More than 1.4 million people have been displaced and require food assistance. These vulnerabilities illustrate how historical inequalities and contemporary global challenges intersect, reinforcing the urgent need for sustained international cooperation for Haiti. In discussions about climate justice, the international community must consider both present responsibilities and historical contributions to inequality. Supporting Haiti's resilience is therefore not only humanitarian, but also a matter of justice. In closing, then, Haiti's history is one of steadfastness, courage, and profound contributions to the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality. The challenges the country faces today require not only immediate responses, but also a deeper reflection on historical responsibility and shared commitments across the Americas and the world. In the CARICOM region specifically, governments established the CARICOM Reparations Commission in 2013 with a mandate to prepare the case for reparatory justice for the region's indigenous and African descendant communities who are the victims of crimes against humanity in the forms of genocide, slavery, slave trading, and racial apartheid. The Commission asserts that victims and descendants of these crimes against humanity have a legal right to reparatory justice and that those who committed these crimes and who have been enriched by the proceeds of these crimes have a reparatory case to answer. This pathway, then, to reparatory justice in the context of Haiti would speak richly and clearly to Haiti's preeminent role and history in leading the charge for justice, freedom, and dignity for the people of Haiti and the Americas. Spaces such as this symposium, organized by the team of persons here, help us to advance these difficult and necessary conversations. And I thank you for this opportunity to make this presentation and to have this symposium in the Bahamas. And so the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights remains committed to supporting efforts that advance justice, dignity, and lasting democratic governance in Haiti. And I thank you again for your time today.
Thank you very much to Marian Bethel Sears, who isn't here with us today because she's actually in a session. She's actually in a session of the commission. So I would like us to go straight into the speakers for the morning. And then, as I said, we will break into smaller groups. So I will ask us to go in the order that I have it here on my paper. And I would like to start with Colette. And maybe when you come, Colette, if you can share a little bit about the work that you're doing with respect to Haiti and how that, particularly how that can move the efforts forward toward restitution and reparatory justice.
Good morning, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Moi, c'est Colette Lespinasse. Moi, c'est une militante éducatrice droit moun.
My name is Colette Espinas. I'm an activist of human rights.
Et spécialement droit migrants parce que moi, c'est cofondatrice d'une organisation droit migrants en Haïti qui c'est GAR, groupe d'appui aux rapatriés et réfugiés.
I'm especially engaged in the human rights of migrants. I am the founder of an organization called GAR, the group to help refugees and the repatriated.
Et puis, je fais partie tout de REDMA, qui sont réseau dans toute Amérique là, avec Caraïbes là, sur droits migrants haïtiens. Et je suis content de voir quelques membres REDMA qui là dans cette salle là.
And I'm part of REDMA, which is a regional network of people advocating for the rights of migrants, and it's nice to see other people from the REDMA network here today.
Okay. Alors, mon petit Jean surprise que madame pour moi parler avant.
I'm a little bit surprised to being the first to go.
Bon, alors, présentation me devait faire matin, me devait insister sur un aspect droit moun. Dans la question réparation, restitution, très souvent oublié, c'est question migration.
Okay. This morning, I'd like to focus on a human rights aspect of the restitution issue that is often neglected, and that is the rights of migrants.
Parce que présence afro-descendant yo, dans l'Amérique latine, dans les Caraïbes, là, Bahamas, Haïti, en pile l'autre pays, c'est résultat d'une migration forcée.
It's important to remember that the presence of Afro-descendants in Haiti, in the Bahamas, and throughout the Caribbean is the result of a forced migration.
Et migration, ça, nous connaissons, il était fait avec un pile violence, il fait avec un pile violation de moun, un pile moun mouri, et jusqu'à présent, n'a porté traumatisme.
And that forced migration was done with a lot of violence. A lot of people died. A lot of human rights were violated. And right to this present, we are still dealing with the trauma that was inflicted.
Hier soir, dans le dîner, nous avons gagné avec Board UUSC. Nous avons parlé de naufrage, de monde qui a noyé dans la mer. Et c'est image ça, moi, je me dans la tête. quantité monde qui t'a traversé Atlantique là, esclave, moun yo te kidnappé et qui vinn esclave, mais quantité qui te mouri dans traverser ça.
Last night at a dinner with the UUSC board, we talked about drowning, about people who drowned on the way from Africa to the Caribbean, and that is something that I keep that's in my head right now as I think about it, the image of people who drowned on the way.
Yon lot point nous devons songer dans question migration forcée c'est que Haïti après li fin proclamer indépendance là, li décider que tout noir qui rive sous territoire haïtien, yo pas esclave encore, yo libre. Donc li te accueilli migrants yo et li pas mette yo en esclavage.
So another important point is to remember that once Haiti put an end to enslavement in its country, it also declared that any black person who came to Haiti was instantly free. So not only did Haiti welcome migrants, they also freed them.
Donc c'est un élément important. Là on a parlé de question réparation, restitution.
So that's a really important point when we're talking about restitution and reparations.
Malheureusement, Jean pays a vinn organisé après indépendance là, surtout avec obligation forcée encore la France forcée Haïti pour lui payer une rançon. Pays a pas jeune ressources pour investir dans l'éducation, dans la santé, dans l'infrastructure qui pour permettre de développer.
Unfortunately, Haiti did not develop in large part because of the ransom imposed by France. Haiti was not able to develop the infrastructure and the economy to be able to help everybody.
Et en pile anciens esclaves qui viennent paysans qui pas de moyens pour yo vivre dans pays qui sorti dans esclavage mais qui rentré dans sorte d'esclavage économique envers la France, yo étaient obligés yo même à chercher la vie l'autre côté.
So many of the enslaved people, they became peasants, but because of the situation in Haiti, they were not able to live well. They went from chattel slavery to economic slavery, and that forced them to go elsewhere to be able to live.
Nous venons une deuxième vague de migration vers Cuba, dans plantation canne, et ensuite vers la République dominicaine.
And we had a wave of immigration, a second wave of immigration to Cuba and to the Dominican Republic to work on sugar plantations.
Dans le commencement 20e siècle, là, dans l'année 1900, les États-Unis d'Amérique commençaient une politique de renforcement de usines sucre, production sucre en République dominicaine, et ils viennent acheter, entre guillemets, main-d'œuvre haïtienne.
So in the early 20th century, the beginning of the 1900s, the United States started a policy of supporting sugar factories in the Dominican Republic. And as part of that, they had a practice of, quote, buying Haitian workers for those plantations.
C'est un autre moment de migration forcée encore pour capable satisfaire un système économique qui c'est capitaliste là.
So we had yet another wave of forced migration in order to satisfy the needs of the capitalist economic system.
Jodi en République dominicaine, descendants migrants sa yo pas gen ken droit.
Today, the descendants of those migrants in the Dominican Republic have no rights.
Gen plus passé 250,000 descendants haïtiens pour deuxième, troisième jusqu'à quatrième génération qui pas connaît rien de Haïti, mais li yo pas gen yon papier qui dit qui moun yo ye, moun qui pays yo ye.
So there's over 250,000 Dominicans of Haitian descent who don't know anything about Haiti. Some of them are second, third, and fourth generations living in the Dominican Republic, but they do not have a single paper telling them what country they belong to.
Commission interaméricaine droit moun qui saute parler là, yo fait un pile rapport et vin même gen tribunal interaméricain droit moun nous fait des procès contre la République dominicaine sous question
The issue, and there's been litigation in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights over Haitians in the Dominican Republic.
même système ça qui la cause que gen moun qui était allé en République dominicaine et jusqu'à présent gagné. Nous gen tout qui allé dans l'autre pays, gen qui vinn Bahamas et gen qui allé aux États-Unis.
And so we still have lots of people going to the Dominican Republic. We have many Haitians coming to the Bahamas and many going to the United States.
Nous tande en pile histoire, naufrage, ça nous relè bot people yo, chaque année quantité k'ap mouri dans la mer parce que ap essayer aller dans l'autre pays.
Every year we hear more stories of drownings, of often called boat people, people who had to leave Haiti to find a better life.
Journée jodi a, yo criminalisé migrants yo. Des migrants qui étaient allés depuis longtemps, qui pensaient qu'ils étaient stabilisés dans des pays, tant qu'aux États-Unis, ils voulaient faire retourner des criminels.
So now there's a process of criminalizing migration. You have many people, especially in the United States, who had been there a long time, who thought their lives were stable, and now they're being criminalized.
Donc, tout mouvement nous te gagné depuis période coloniale là, qui te ban nous migration forcée, sorti en Afrique, vini dans Caraïbes là, li pas camper, li continuer avec conséquence une série de politiques qui appliquées en Haïti et qui appliquées dans le monde et particulièrement dans la région.
So the dynamic of forced migration that started in the colonial period with the Atlantic slave trade, that continues to this day, and to some extent it's still enforced by politics towards Haiti by other countries, policies.
C'est pour ça, dans la lutte pour droits migrants, yo, nous voulons mettre question justice là. Et pour nous-mêmes, dans la question réparation, hein, dossier migration doit jouer une place.
So in the fight for immigration, we feel it's essential to put justice at the forefront. And similarly, in the fight for restitution and reparations, migrants need to have their place.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colette. I think that it's important that we think also about that connection between what happened 400 years ago, what happened 200 years ago, and what's happening today. Because there is a direct connection. We spoke about it with Dr. Sumo on the radio yesterday, that there is a straight line, and the Secretary General, Guterres, has said himself, you can draw a straight line from enslavement, trafficking of Africans in the continent, chattel enslavement, to colonialism, to the persistent underdevelopment and challenges in Haiti. It's a straight line. It's not something that happened yesterday. It started 400 years ago, and it continued till today. So thank you so much for that, and it's around migration and trafficking of persons. So yes, thank you very much for that. I'm going to call my dear friend Monique next to present a few words for us.
I don't know, I would assume that Amber, who loves translating into Creole, will do the duty. Thank you. Do you hear me at the... Wonderful. Thank you. I love these fingers. Thank you. I will talk about the case for restitution of what we call Haiti's independence debt. But before I do that, I really want to thank my dear friend Guinel and also thank Rachel and the whole team really for inviting me to this meeting, and it is my first time to the Bahamas. Thank you. On January 1st, 1804, Haiti proclaimed its independence from colonial France. It is a moment in history that changed geopolitics forever for its profound historical, political, and ethical meaning. That moment brought to the fore the supremacy of respect for human dignity and human rights. We say, tout moun c'est moun.
Oui.
Yes. Thank you, June. Haiti became a beacon for freedom and justice. But on April 17, 1825, almost 201 years ago, France committed an enormous injustice that still resonates today. Under the threat of 14 warships in Port-au-Prince harbor, France forced the winners of Haiti's independence, the former slaves, to compensate the losers, their former colonial masters. You may ask, why did Haiti sign? Haiti at the time was isolated. It needed to boost its economy, and it wanted to exist politically. It wanted to be recognized as an independent state. So yes, our independence was recognized as part of an indemnity pact, but at an extremely high cost, worth at the time about $30 million to be paid supposedly in 5 years. We Haitians were made to pay a colossal amount for freedom. And when we couldn't pay it, France pushed its banks on us to loan us the money, which is why it's called a double debt. It took us over 100 years to pay it. Takeaway number one, Haiti's independence debt was a racist pact. Haiti, born out of a successful revolution of enslaved Africans, challenged the global white supremacist world order. They had to stop the contagion of black folks across the other colonies. Takeaway number two, Haiti's independence debt was in essence a neo-colonial pact designed to punish, to isolate, to impoverish, and weaken us for having dared to free ourselves from servitude to a colonial regime. It was, in effect, a slave ransom. The pact, a mere 21 years after the country's independence, started a transformation of Haiti into a neo-colony. The ransom extorted by France crippled Haiti's economy. It impacted every aspect of society and also helps contextualize the roots of Haiti's current crisis. It triggered a cycle of extraction, debt, and dependence on foreign aid, leading to Haiti's underdevelopment. It also made the country unstable and vulnerable to elite domination and foreign interference. How, you might ask? Nearly 85% of Haiti's largest source of income, coffee exports, was diverted to pay this monstrous debt. Two, because of the country's resources were used to cover the ransom, not only did it hasten environmental degradation, but Haiti could not afford to adequately invest in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure, in industrial development. Its effects are felt today. The current economic, social, political, and humanitarian crisis in Haiti is deeply intertwined with the profound impact and legacy of enslavement, French colonization, and the independence debt, which deprived us of the possibility of investing in our development. One of the primary sources of gangsterism in Haiti today is the chronic misery and social inequalities accumulated and reproduced over 2 centuries of stifling our economy by neo-colonialism. Yet, despite the illegitimate debt and the grave crisis it created for Haiti, it must be recognized that during the last 222 years we've been independent, we Haitian men and women have built a Haitian civilization with our own language, our own religion, our own spaces called lakou, our own literature, our own music called compas, and our own way of life.
Yes.
Today, 201 years later, is the time for reparatory justice, including financial restitution of the money stolen and reparations for the harm caused by France. We also wish to shut down the insidious and very racist narrative that Haiti is too unstable, Haiti is too weak, and has too many problems to be talking about issues of reparatory justice. We say shame. We will not return to silence. So, today, the moment gives us the opportunity also to recognize the work done by Haitian civil society. The demand for reparatory justice by Haiti has been led by Haitian civil society and its diaspora, including numerous intellectuals. They have been at the forefront, occupying the space in pursuing restitution of the independence debt and reparation for the harm it caused with their writings, their research, their educational campaigns, and their advocacy efforts. Today, we stand on their shoulders, and today we also have their backs. It is a collective effort, and it is a continuum that is about restoring a historical injustice. We are building a strong national movement. Our asks are the following. First, we call on France to recognize recognize fully the historic injustice committed towards Haiti. Friends should recognize that reparatory justice grows out of recognizing the injustice. We must stop collective amnesia. The people of Haiti exist, and we have paid the price. Reparatory justice is necessary. Second, we need to have a national Haitian conversation. And out of that, we will identify the social sectors that need the most investments. Massive social injustice in Haiti points to needs in health, education, and culture. Special attention must be paid to the farming sector that bore the biggest burden, as coffee was one of the primary sources of the monies sent to France. And it really was money, cash money, that was sent to France. Rebuilding our institutions and infrastructure is also key. Third, we declare also that we are in a political, diplomatic, and ethical battle for reparatory justice for Haiti, specifically financial restitution and reparation. And we Haitians are ensuring its leadership. We will not settle for symbolic gestures. Fourth, we call for the solidarity of all Afro descendants to our battle. We call for the solidarity of people of Africa, Asia, Latin America, Europe to our battle. It is a movement and it is also a moment. And we need to hear your voices in support of us. We need for you to be allies of Haiti. In conclusion, there is urgency. We believe our cause is a noble one, and we are in it to win justice. We believe that justice will be served for Haiti and that justice is due to Haiti. So we say restitution now, reparations now. Thank you.
I would like to call Jackson to the podium to present his paper. Jackson is a Haitian journalist, and he'll tell us a little bit about himself.
I think there is a mistake. I have to put 2026 and I put 2024. I'm sorry.
Forgiven.
Someone's, I don't know, I don't remember the name of this person, but someone say when you speak a foreign language with people, they understand you with their head. But when you speak their own language, they understand you with their heart. That's the reason why I will try to make my intervention, my exposition in English. So I want to start by asking for a little grace. You see, English is my fourth language. I speak Haitian Creole, French, Spanish. So I will try my best to make sense. So if I stumble or if I mispronounce a word, if I say something that sounds funny, just blame it on my brain doing gymnastics. It is trying its best. But I'm here, and that matters. I want to thank the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee for 87 years of standing on the side of justice and for inviting me to be part of this historic gathering. And thank you also with the University of The Bahamas for hosting us. And a special thanks to Dr. Campbell-Bean. Dr. Campbell-Bean and I were comrades together in 2024 as the United Nations Fellow of African Descent. It's a beautiful thing.
Can you speak a little louder?
Okay, I will try. It is a beautiful thing to see a familiar face and also to see my Asian sisters and brothers in this room full of new ones. Now, let's be honest. When I was invited to speak, I felt two things. I first honored, second terrified. Because how do you talk about 200 years of suffering in 10 minutes? How do we explain to people the way that Haiti carries every single day? I thought about asking for more time, maybe 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, but then I remembered that is a symposium, not a Netflix series. And furthermore, English is not my mother tongue. I would be at loss for words. Um, but I remember also something important. American people, as same as Bahamian people, understand struggle. Bahamian understand fighting for freedoms. The own history of Bahamian, the Burner World War, the general strike, the word to majority rule, teach us something essential. Justice does not fall the sky. It is fought for. It is demanded. It is claimed. And that's why I'm here today, to demand justice for Haiti. Because I'm here to talk about reparation for Haiti, but not to talk about reparation as charity. I'm here to talk about reparation as justice, as restitution, as the return of what was stolen. To understand why Haiti needs reparation, we need to understand two historical ruptures. The first rupture, 1845. In 1804, Haiti became the first black republic in the world. We defeated Napoleon's army. We ended slavery. We showed the world that black people could govern themselves. It was a miracle. It was a revolution. But the world did not celebrate us. The world punished us. In 1825, just 21 years after our independence, France sent warships to Haiti. King Charles X demanded 150 million francs. He said, pay us for the property we lost. And what was the property? Human beings, our ancestors. This was not a debt. This was a ransom. France said, pay us or we will re-enslave you. Haiti had no choice. Haiti paid. Haiti paid until 1947. We paid with interest. Experts now say that with interest, Haiti paid between 150 and $200 billion in today's money. Let me put that in perspective. That money could have built school in every village, hospital in every city. It could have trained doctors, engineers, teachers. Instead, it went to France. It built their banks, their university, their city, their Tour Eiffel, and Haiti was left with nothing. The second rupture, 1950. In the United States, in 1915, invaded Haiti. They occupied us until 1934. The first thing they did, they sailed into Port-au-Prince and stole Haiti's National Guard reserve. They reward our constitution so foreigners could own our land. They control our money. They control our banks. They control our lives. And when they left behind a country that could not stand on its own. The philosopher Akil Mbembe called this necropolitics. It is a big word, but the meaning is simple. Necropolitics is the power to decide who can live and who must die. France and United States decided that Haiti must die slowly. And for 200 years, we have been dying slowly. Paul Gilroy, in his book, The Black Atlantic, shows us that this is not new. Since the transatlantic slave trade, black people have been forced into motion. But that motion was never free. It was always controlled, always surveilled, always punished. The slave ship was the first border. The plantation was the first detention center. And today, the borders of Chile, of Mexico, the United States, included Bahamas, they are the same architecture. just updated. So when we talk about Haitian migration, we cannot talk about it how it is started yesterday. It is started in 1804. It is starting with the ransom. It is started with the occupation. It is started with 200 years of theft and violence. Now, let me tell you about the work I've been doing. In 2024, I work on the socioeconomic reparatory justice plans, a document in the framework. This was done in the framework of the repair campaign presented at the University of West Indies with Mirta. And it is a comprehensive plan. It has 18 priorities areas. It is costed, it is detailed, but it is possible. Let me give you a few examples. The first, we need to neutralize the gangs, but not with foreign soldiers, with jobs, with education, with giving the young people something to live for, with disarmament, with demobilization, with integration. We want to turn gangs members into citizens. The second, we need to strengthen our institution. Corruption has eaten our country like termites eat wood. We need anti-corruption measures. We need real-time audits. We need people's court where citizens can hold leaders accountable. We need to restore our education system right now. Many Haitian children do not go to school. And if they do, they learn about France. They learn about the so-called positive impact of the U.S. occupation. They do not learn about themselves. We want a curriculum that teaches Haitian history, African history, Caribbean history, indigenous history. We want our children to know who they are. We need to restore our agriculture. The Artibonite Valley used to be a breadbasket of Haiti. Now gangs control it. Farmers cannot farm. And even if they could, they cannot compete with dumped American rice. We want irrigation systems. We want seeds. We want food sovereignty. And we want also hospitals. We want doctors. We need nurses. We need to stop the brain drain. We need to give health workers a reason to stay. And there is more: housing, world sports, airports, code, technology. Every part of our country needs to be rebuilt. The cost, 404.4 billion. That sounds like a lot. But remember, France took 200 billion from us. United States took our gold, our resources, our dignity. This is not charity. This is a refund. Now, let me give some fact, because, of course, I have a public policy and international cooperation background, but I'm also a journalist, and I believe in facts. According to Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, CEPAL, more than 65% of Haitians who migrate in Latin America do so because of food insecurity, political violence, and institutional collapse. They are not living because they want to. They are living because they have no choice. According to UN Human Rights Office, Haitians in Chile, Brazil, Mexico, and Dominican Republic face systemic discrimination. They face racial profiling. They face barriers to documentation. They are pushed into irregularity. And when you are irregular, you are vulnerable. You can be exploited, you can be abused, and no one will protect you. According to UN Women, Afro-descendant women in transit face multiple violence: sexual violence, labor exploitation, trafficking. They are the most vulnerable among the vulnerable, and they are also the most invisible. The philosopher Judith Butler talked about precarious life. She said that some lives are considered grievable and some are not. When white Europeans died crossing the Mediterranean, okay, here we go. The Mediterranean, the new covered it for weeks. When Haitians die crossing the Darien Gaps, it is our footnote. That is precarity. That is unequal distribution of the right to life. But here's the thing: theory is not enough. We need action, and we have multiple models and we have example. Reparation have been paid before. The question is not whether reparations are possible. The question is whether the world has the political will to pay to black people. We have several models. We have, I identify 5, for example. The first with direct financial compensation. After the World War II, Germany paid billions to Holocaust survivors and to the state of Israel. Through the Luxembourg Agreement of 1952, they paid pension, lump sums, and social benefit because it recognized states' responsibility. If Germany could pay for crimes committed during the war, France can pay for crimes committed during colonization. The principle is the same. In New Zealand, the government returned lands to Maori communities through settlement under the Treaty of Waitangi process. Because reparations are not only monetary, land is central to identity, land is central to sovereignty, land is central to survival. In 1988, the United States passed the Civil Liberties Act. They formally apologized and paid $20,000 to each surviving Japanese American who had been incarcerated during the World War II. Words matter, but words without money are just words. Reparation require both. In Canada, the government compensated indigenous survivors of residential coal, but they did more. They founded healing programs. They founded language revitalization. They created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission because reparation must address intergenerational harms, not just one-time payments, but long-time investment in communities. And finally, in 2013, the United Kingdom compensated Kenyan survivors of torture during the Mau Mau repression. They paid financial compensation. They issued an official statement of regrets. Because colonial crimes are not time-barred, you cannot say that was too long. History does not expire. So let me be clear. Reparations have already been paid through money, through land, through services, through official recognition. The debate today, it's not about the feasibility. The debate is about which suffering counts. And that brings us back to Akil Mbembe, to Judith Butler, to Paul Giroux. Because the reason Haiti's suffering is not considered legitimate is not accidental. It's because Haiti is black. The reason Asian migrants are treated as criminal is because they are black. The reason the world look away when Haitians died in the Darien Gaps is because they are black. This is the architecture of racialization, and it must be dismantled. Now, let me lighten the mood a little, because if I keep going like this, we will need therapy. And we are not fighting only for survival, we are fighting for joy, we are fighting for life. I remember one time I was crossing a border, and I will not say which country, and the officer looked at my passport, he looked at me and looked at my passport again. He said, Haiti is still a country. I wanted to be angry, but instead I stayed calm. I say, yes, sir, we are still here, and we are not going anywhere. That is not true. We are still here. We are not going anywhere. We will stay in the boat. I learned this expression yesterday here in the Bahamas from a border. I learned this expression at the first time. I thought it was telling me to go back to Haiti. I was already to be offended, but he explained stay in the boat means stay calm, stay focused, and do not let the wave disturb you. You know, being Asian and speaking English is already hard. But being Asian and speaking English in the Bahamas, that's a whole other level. Yesterday, someone told me, you're good? And I said, yes, I'm fine. And she laughed. Apparently, you're good means something else here. I don't know. I'm still learning. But here, what I love about the Bahamas, when I walk down the street, I hear music, I hear laughter, I see people living, and I think this is what Haiti could be. This is what Haiti should be. free, happy, alive. And that's why I'm here, because I believe Haiti can be that. I believe my people deserve that. So. And I want to end it with Frantz Fanon, with Frantz Fanon and a question. Frantz Fanon, the great revolutionary from Martinique, what the works of the head. Each generation must out of relative obscurity discover its mission, fulfill it or betray it. And in the story of Bahamas, a man called Lyndon Pindlin drew the mace out of the House of Assembly window and say the authority belongs to the people and the people are outside. That moment changed everything for the Bahamas because the people were outside. The crown was there, the women, the children, the workers, the vendors, and they were the ones who made that moment matter. And I ask you, will you be the crown for Haiti? Will you be stand outside the hail of power and demand the authority to be returned to the people? Will you sing with us? Will you march with us? Will you demand with us that what was stolen to be returned? Because the people of Haiti are still outside. We are still waiting. We are still singing. We are not going anywhere. My name is Jackson. I'm a journalist. I'm a political and social critic. I'm Haitian, and I choose not to betray my generation, my black people. That is why I chose to advocate for historical reparation. Thank you.
You're awesome. There's so many bites in that I feel I should sort of memorize to use again. But yes, we are your allies. Haiti is still here. It's not going anywhere. Our calls for restitution and reparations are not ending. No matter the pressure, no matter how large our opponents may be in size or wealth, we will continue to persist that Haiti should have restitution. We will continue. Jackson, thank you so much. You said a lot. Even mentioned my first prime minister, Sir Lyndon. A powerful man who really stood for this country, but also for black people around the world, leading in the anti-apartheid movement, in justice for Haiti. I told someone the other day, they said, oh, you need to do more. I want to remind people that, and we have some foreign affairs people in the back, our little voices, the Bahamas is small, but our little voice was always at the UN since 1973, reminding the UN General Assembly in all of our statements that we cannot forget Haiti. When others were silent, we were reminding that Haiti cannot be forgotten. So we are your allies in this. It's a rough, bumpy relationship. It is that way with siblings, with friends, with allies. But know that we are with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have two more speakers on the list before we start speaking to each other a little bit more. I will invite Nixon and then Tracy to come forward.
Thank you very much. I try to speak in English, but Amber, my Haitian, no, you can say that. We have me to interpret for my fellow Haitian. I will be short because everything has been said by Monique, Jackson, and Colette. And I will try to highlight the first point, the main significance of Haitian Revolution. Haitian Revolution made by Jean-Jacques Dessalines. When he started, he said, we avenged Americas. Haitian Revolution means a request for reparation for the whole Americas. It was a way for our ancestors to recognize our presence from Africa to the Americas as a result of a decimation of native people living in Americas. For our island, Haiti and Dominican Republic, more than 2 million people has been killed in less than 15 years. This is where the need to get African people to kidnap African people to live in America on slavery. And this long trajectory, this kidnapping process means to us we lost our identity, we lost our languages, we lost our culture, and we lost our people. Reparation, that doesn't mean we are talking about money has been stolen, premium materials, that means also all we lost and how we can repair all those things. And I totally agree with Jackson when he said to redefine the curriculum to help us to center ourselves and our culture and our way of life. And Professor Garner raised the situation in Haiti and the nutkeeper, the current situation in Haiti. It is not disconnected to the colonial, the historical harm we've been suffering. It's directly connected to. The state we have in Haiti, the social structure we have in Haiti is a direct legacy from the colonial and slavery history we've been dealing with. And the state represents the continuity of colonialism, continuity of slave mentality, and the people fight against the slave and to change the nature of the state, to center the human being. This is what Monique recalled. The Haitian Revolution means everyone is a human being. There is no one separate than another one. And this is how we engage in the country to change the state and to fight for our self-determination. Fighting for our self-determination, we are in front of us all the time. And foreign interference will support the continuity of this colonial harms. We are fighting for reparation because we've been harmed by extractivism. African has been extracted from Africa. We've been extracted from across Africa without our name, without our ancestral culture. Extractivism is the way that people see the world. When they are talking about the developing world, we are talking about a world, a result of extractivism. And myself as Haitian, who believe we should fight for our self-determination, our work is centered to fight against extractivism, to stop the bad, and to try to reimagine a society where human being will be at the center, but also everyone can live in dignity. And this is what we can do. The vast majority of Haitian people, when we look at the statistic, Haitian, we are all died because we are in need for everything. But we are building our own society outside of the state, outside of the international white supremacy-dominated communities. And to survive, we have to deal with what we live in Haiti, the gangsterization as a way to keep us in silence. The human rights violation, the rape against women and the girls in Haiti is a result of all this stuff. We are not talking about past, we are talking about today. Today is very connected to what we have been dealing from like 500 years. 500 years when the European came, they destroyed the people in the country. We got our independence and to declare freedom for everyone. When I came here on the street in Bahamas, I see the street of Awawak, which is the same people, which is Caraïbe, Awawak, Tainos. We've been the same people living in this area. All those people has been destroyed, and now we have to face the barriers to move from Haiti to Bahamas to Dominican Republic because of the history and the control led by the white supremacy. And being here, as I said, I don't have too much to add to what Colette and Jackson and Monique has really very well said. Reparation means to us how we can engage to change our society. It is not we need to have money. We have to memory what's happened in 2,000 years before, but we have to fight to change the society for ourselves and for the next generation. This is, as our colleague says, Haiti was the first country where the European, the white people came. It was the first where they have been pushed out. Haiti is the first country where people asking for reparation and restitution. And now restitution and reparation has been like the struggle for our century. If the 19th century has been the colonization of African Americas, but the 21st century is the century for fight for being repaired, for being restituted, but for building a new world and to see what we have been faced, but also what we have been done to build a better world and where people can live with dignity. Thank you.
We've had a couple of sessions together as well where we've spoken about this issue, and it's important that we continue speaking and raising our voices in support of Haitian restitution and reparatory justice and making the connection between then and now. There is a connection. So I thank you. And our final speaker, before I say a few words myself, is Tracy Asing. Tracy is a writer, editor, documentary filmmaker, and communication strategist. Happy to have you, Tracy.
Aho, we are one. I am a member of the indigenous community in Trinidad and a part of the indigenous community of the Caribbean. And one notable Caribbean philosopher once said, in this great future, we can't forget our past. And part of my work is to interrogate the stories we've been told about ourselves and to encourage that kind of work throughout the Caribbean. In the interest of keeping the terra nullius fantasy of the colonizers, indigenous voices have long been absent from discussions on the past, present, and future of these islands. When the colonial project began with them, with us. Indeed, even though it is said we are absent, we are present in the very landscape, in the language and culture, in the nature of every island. The independence debt to Haiti scratches the surface of what is owed. Justice is due. The assault on our environment began with the arrival of the colonizers. Do you think the landscape of the Bahamas looked like this when they arrived? Do you realize how much the landscape of islands like Haiti was altered by their industry? The colonial project has always been a long game, long and determined. Its undoing will also be a long game, and we must be as determined to seek our path. Indigenous value systems were upended, and in the world they have created, money makes all the difference. Truth and justice can be expensive. Under the current world system, enough money can help you escape accountability altogether. Money can make your voice loud in the room. I believe we have many contemporary examples of this. With information being ruled by technology, even our news is filtered. Some stories never get read. Some voices do not get heard by design. We must be mindful of this as we seek to communicate our intentions to the people, employing strategy in our communications, because they have. Therefore, our communities need the resources that will lead them to create their own systems, that will allow them to feed themselves mentally, physically, and spiritually without having to have someone else's approval. The people of Haiti have been denied this level of autonomy for some time. Like the people of Cuba, the goal is to place their heads on a stick so no one else would dare to dream another dream. One that does not involve continuous exploitative extraction and extractive systems designed to corrupt generations. The land needs our support. Our ancestors lived in a reality where medicine and food came from the land. When colonizers poisoned the land with monoculture and industrial pollution, striking at the very heart of our survival, it inevitably leads to dependencies we have difficulty weaning ourselves from. Food security and the protection of indigenous ancestral intelligence, the most powerful AI, is essential to political self-determination. I'd just like to say a little bit about agriculture as it regards to Haiti. Despite the country's fertile soil, favorable climate, and long farming tradition, experts say Haiti's agricultural potential remains largely untapped due to a lack of coordinated national policy and infrastructure, that is, good roads and transportation systems, and access to credit. Around 2/3 of Haiti's population relies on agriculture for their livelihoods, and most of them are small farmers. However, because of recent globalizing forces, these farmers only produce a small percent of Haiti's food, creating an untenable food situation through which Haiti has become dependent on imports. Instead of having seeds which sprout reliably, farmers contend with batches which may grow only some of the time. This not only diminishes their yield and profit, but also decreases their ability to sustain their livelihoods. Haiti is facing a protracted crisis, with more than 1 million people displaced, almost 6 million facing emergency food security. No, sorry about my figures there. Facing emergency food insecurity, impending climate shocks for which the country is ill-prepared, and armed violence which is brutalizing community. The 5th session of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. The concept note for this year's discussions will determine reparatory justice through the return of cultural artifacts, human rights, situation of youths of African descent, and the 25th anniversary of the DDPA as a moment to reflect on turning existing human rights commitments into concrete action. Action is that important word. The forum has called on states to stop the abuse, arbitrary detention, and deportation of Haiti's nationals in transnational migration, but all over the world, increasingly right here in the Bahamas and in Trinidad and Tobago and in the United States and in many other territories. Haitians are treated as though they are subhuman. They are judged and persecuted for their color, for their religion, and for their history. There seems to be no safe port for them, and they are still being exploited. The machine of extraction continues unabated. 5 years from now, there should be no warships in the Caribbean. Why are ships surrounding Haiti, Cuba, and Venezuela right now? Haiti should be on the path to food security, restoration of native water supplies, a more developed health system with collaborative administration, inclusive of modern and traditional healing, the redevelopment and refocus of education systems and curriculums aimed at strengthening indigenous capacity. It is only through restoring resilience on our own terms, in our own territories, that we can wean ourselves of the broken fantasies of colonization. I'd just like to end by just calling for action. We talk a lot. We have a lot of meetings. And the time for action is now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am going to ask my dear sister and immediate past chair of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, Dr. June Suma, to say a few words, and then I will share with you a little bit with the of the recommendations, a few of the recommendations coming out of the Permanent Forum on this issue. June?
Thank you very much. I did not plan to speak, but I was moved this morning when I spoke Creole with my two sisters here, and they were surprised, and I heard them whispering, "She can speak Creole." I am from St. Lucia, and we also were colonized by the French and the British. And so, moi ça parle Creole. Oui. So, the first time I went to Haiti, and I've been many times, I saw a sign which said, "Welcome to Haiti, the soul of the Caribbean." For a country to declare itself the soul of anything must be steeped in a realization and a consciousness that in a region such as this, there must be something called pan-Caribbeanism. And Haiti is the country that put that concept forward during the revolution. That people of African descent were free to come to Haiti, and as long as they touched the soil of Haiti, they were freed people. And you should have seen the revolutions that occurred in the Caribbean after that, from the smallest of islands like the Virgin Islands, where there was an opportunity to overthrow the enslavers and get on a ship. And these are well-documented plans to reach Haiti to be able to be free. Haiti is now saying to us in the Pan-Caribbean movement that we also need your assistance at this time to be free. We cannot, in our region, allow Haitians to die in the sea. The Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean is already full of the souls of people of African descent. You think the water is blue because it is blue? It is blue because our souls are shining through. So we talk about those who arrived, the 12.5 million who arrived in the Caribbean and across the Americas. And we don't think about the souls that were lost. And that is what we are allowing with Haiti again. So my appeal to the Caribbean first is that if we do not put forward a plan to ensure that Haiti is restored, that the rest of the Caribbean will never have a soul. We will never have a soul. And I'm saying that because of the fact that there is something called the Haitianization of backwardness. So they look at underdevelopment, and every characteristic they assign to Haiti. The Caribbean is on the verge of that. So the appeal that I make is that before the underdevelopment continues in the region, before we continue to see the ships blockade our countries the way they blockaded Haiti. If we are going to survive in this region, we have to understand that we have to ensure that Haiti is repaired. When we step onto countries that are considered white countries, nobody says, are you from, I'm from St. Lucia. Nobody says, are you from St. Lucia? Nobody says, are you from the Bahamas? The first thing they see because of the attack on Haiti is the color of your skin, and they naturally think that you are Haitian. I am happy to be Haitian. I am happy to be Haitian. But it must mean that I am happy to free Haiti also. So I call on all Caribbean people in the Bahamas, across the Caribbean, to recognize that our soul is at risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, June. I mean, there's nothing to add to that. Absolutely nothing to add to that. The questions are, what does reparatory justice mean in the context of Haiti specifically? What recommendations would you have? How does climate reparations relate to political self-determination, truth, justice, and accountability for Haiti? How would you like to see the international mechanisms, such as the Permanent Forum, where June and I are members? How can we better support your work in promoting restitution and reparatory justice for Haiti? What would success look like 5 years from now? On what commitments individuals or institutions can make following this forum, this dialogue today? We can say that the University of the Bahamas wants to continue to dialogue with all of you. But what does it look like for you? Those are the 5 questions. How are we looking for time? Yes. So let's discuss for, I would say, half an hour or so in our groups, and then come back and share our thoughts in the plenary session. So we can just turn around and put ourselves into groups. Some come forward. We have to use this space, right? And let's look at these 5 questions. You can choose one of the questions that you want. Good if each group take a question, but whichever question you want to respond to, you may do that. I'm asking some of my colleagues in the University of the Bahamas to sit with you to facilitate the discussions, and also former Foreign Affairs colleague is here with us who has spent quite a number of years in Haiti and knows the situation very well, can join us in these discussions. So I invite you to divide yourself into smaller groups. 5 groups would be good, because we have 5 questions. Thank you, everyone. I know that we had some, I was listening to some of the comments. Very, very interesting discussions. I wish we had more time, but we need to leave time for us to eat a little something and walk over to the Performing Arts Center, which is like a 5-minute walk, 5 to 7 minutes walk, just across the street. But we don't want to rush. So we want to take a few minutes and walk over there, settle in, so that we can start at 1 o'clock. We have a few dignitaries joining us at 1, So we want to be on time for that part of the day. So, which group would like to go first? I think Alicia's group looks ready. Tracy, you? Who's coming?
Alicia's coming.
Okay. Wonderful. Go ahead.
You see how they treat me? Incredible. Our group looked at the question, what would success look like 5 years from now? Because the future feels like a better place to be. Are you hearing me? Wow, what about now? Whoa, right in it. Okay. We are looking at the question of the future 5 years from now. If we are successful today, where will we be? And we talked about reclaiming ancestral practices. Everyone was very inspired by Tracy talking about the real AI, because the other one tells you that it's artificial. This one's real, ancestral, people having true knowledge and passing it on, and we talked about the need to reclaim that. We also talked quite a bit about agriculture and connection to the land and the ways that our past, our history of enslavement and the trauma involved there has really separated us from connecting with the land, growing our own food, and using it as medicine rather than, all of the stuff that they make in labs. We could talk about that some other time. We also talked about communications. We spent quite a lot of time on communication, actually, because we have conversations, dialogues, conferences, we have great ideas, and we leave spaces with a lot of hope. And then we go back home, and all we have is photos. So how do we take action? How do we use what we've learned, what we've talked about together to make sure that we are actually doing something for ourselves, for our brothers and sisters, for Haiti, making sure that we are really, truly connecting and making plans for future engagement and using other mechanisms, not just leaning on what seems easy like social media, but creating our own media, not just depending on traditional media. We talked a little bit about some guerrilla press, making our own zines, distributing them, leaving them in restrooms and buses and things like that, so that we're spreading a message and making sure that people can understand and have access to information that we've shared together in closed spaces like this one, but also in spaces that are more open, that people might not feel exactly welcome in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I was looking for a note taker. So I want these to be suggestions, recommendations to be gathered for us to have them, to put in our report and to share them and to see how we can build forward from them. So thank you so much for that, for volunteering to take some notes and share them with me in the end. The second group, anyone wants to volunteer, or should I start volunteering people? Someone raise their hands in the back there? Yeah, there you go, Chris.
Good day, everyone. I am here representing the group that is comprised of, and forgive me if I mispronounce anyone's name, Liz Marie, Brian, Suki, Bumba, Mary Catherine, and myself. We decided also to look at the same question, what would success look like 5 years from now? That seems to be a popular question because the group I left was also going to do that question. I want to say that I think this is a very compelling question because it's a call for action, isn't it? And one of the things that we started with was the basic premise that the whole colonial and neo-colonial construct of how people see Haiti is injurious, it's damaging, is destructive. And so the colonial and the coloniality that is attached to how the world thinks about Haiti must end. We must challenge the colonial structure in a concerted way within the next 5 years. And there needs to be a concerted effort to recognize Haitian self-determination. In other words, we are still dealing with neo-colonial structures that imbue a perception of Haiti that is negative, the backwardness, the idea that Haiti is an ungovernable space, the idea that the Haitians are uncivilized, or the idea that Haiti is a violent space. All of these negative structures and discourses need to end, and they need to end now. But that is part of our 5-year plan. We also looked more specifically at what would French restitution actually look like. And we decided to look at it from the point of view that this needs not to be a top-down, global north kind of imposing its will on Haiti. There needs to be a sense within the Caribbean that Haiti has the soul of the region, as has already been articulated. And then, therefore, our positionality must come from a sense of mutual solidarity with our neighbors. And by the way, neighbor we are going to extend not just to the region, but to the world, because this is a humanitarian and human rights issue. And since we're all humans, it's all of our issues, right? Didn't Martin Luther King say that an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, right? We didn't say that in a group, but I thought that's kind of what we were saying. There's this other very important issue about how we think about Haiti that needs to stop now. People think that Haiti is the poorest country in the world. That is so, so wrong. There's that terrible stigmatization. I would like to invert that discourse about poverty in Haiti. Haiti, in fact, I would argue is the richest country in the Caribbean. Rich in culture, rich in history, rich in value systems, rich in so many ways. And so it is, in fact, the richest country in the Caribbean, not the poorest. And countries around the world, but particularly the colonizer, France, need to be aware of the richness of Haiti, because we're coming from a place of power, not poverty. When we make our claims, we are going to make our claims putting our symbolic cannons to France's own territory. And this was a powerful statement we articulated in our group, that blockade that happened in 1825, we're going to turn it around and create our own symbolic cannon fire onto France. To do that, though, we have to arm ourselves with many different kinds of weapons. We're going to have a legal arm, and we can always go back to the Vienna Convention law of 1969, and particularly Article 52, where it says that any treaty that is done or obtained through the use of force or coercion is illegal. All right? And so we have a legal arm. And Article 53 of that same treaty says that if there is any preemptory norm attached to a treaty, or if it clashes with general human rights and international rights and laws, then it is also null and void because it is considered unethical and therefore unlawful. All right? So the indemnity was made in an unlawful context. So that's just a legal cannonball. But that's just one arm of a multifarious approach that we must take in the next 5 years. So we see the need for united solidarity with pan-Caribbean, pan-Asian, pan-African, pan-global movements. When Haiti suffers, we all suffer, because Haiti is the soul of the Caribbean. So what we're arguing is that we need a mass movement. That movement has to marshal all of our public relations tools. We must force and demand reparations through boycotts, economic and otherwise, to the global north. We must look at how the Nassau Accord, for example, in 1985, which was an anti-apartheid statement promulgated by our Prime Minister at the time, Lyndon Pinling, how that had far-reaching effects on leading to pressure being applied to South Africa. You know, South Africa was banned from the Olympics, for example. Well, we need to start talking about what we need to do to ban France from certain international events and associations. We need to marshal our entire efforts to present a unified movement that is global in reach and based on a very basic principle of humanitarianism. And that is basically the breadth of our discussion. Our last point that we discussed was looking at the issue of gangs in Port-au-Prince and the things that can be done to perhaps allay the concerns that people have about that instability. And again, there's a discourse that we are rejecting here, that Haiti is an unstable environment. That is largely in Port-au-Prince. But if you go to Le Cap or other places in Haiti, that is not a problem. So again, the Western media and how they present Haiti is another part of the Marshall Plan. And forgive the Marshall Plan, meaning to marshal our forces, not the Cold War Marshall Plan, is to be understood. So the point here is in marshaling a multifarious attack on how we think about Haiti, and the general plan for reparatory justice means that we have to attack that stigma as well, the idea that Haiti is a lawless state. A lot of the violence that we hear about in media, it's really localized to Port-au-Prince. All right, and so again, that is a part of our multi-pronged approach to address reparatory justice in the next 5 years. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. I love it. Yes, a group volunteering. Please come and introduce yourself and your group members.
Hello, everyone. My name is Janet Bush. I'm a member of the UUSC board, and our group was the group in the middle there. So those of us on the board and our guest, who is my husband, we spent some time on number one, more in the context of I think, further educating the three of us as to the many reasons, more of the history, we learned about the history in greater depth, and I think a very compelling case, I think, gained a deeper understanding of why it really, really makes sense for Haiti to be taking the lead, and for Haiti's case to be really the lead for conversations about reparation and restitution. And then in terms of question 4, there were a couple things. We had a Bahamian member of our group who had to leave, and she asked a question about what could she do in terms of influencing her government. And a point was made that the Bahamian government could go further in refusing to support things like the arming of gangs, and actually being more supportive than it already is in terms of the way it approaches its relationships with Haiti. And another point that came up was that success in 5 years, that it's important to really develop the legal framework and understand, get consultants and a legal team in place to both further develop the case and also get advice on where to take it and the legal strategy around advancing Haiti's case. Did I miss anything?
Awesome, awesome. As a human rights lawyer and a public international lawyer and an advocate for reparations and restitution, I think building a strong legal case is important, and I'm happy the two groups mentioned that. Certainly, we know that international law has been challenged and violated, we think, with respect to the Haitian ransom. You can't put a gun to someone's head and say, well, yeah, let's have an agreement. It's not quite that. But I would go a little bit further and say that the legal case could be made as to whether trafficking and enslavement was the most significant, the most significant crime against humanity. That case can be made. The crime was always a crime. It never stopped being a crime. When we were picked up, put in the bottom of a boat, trafficked, trafficking we know is an international crime. Brought here against our will, and we say that the crime never stopped. It was a continuous crime because Africans themselves and people around the world were continuously saying this is wrong, this is criminal, this is incorrect. So it never stopped being a crime. I think the strongest case we may have is the case for Haitian restitution. And I think that it's good if we can think about that a little bit more and how we would see us in this space collaborating to move it forward even further. We're doing quite a bit at the UN level. I mentioned a few of the colleagues in the room that are working with us on this, but we think that more can be done across the Caribbean. And in the Bahamas, we've led movements in the past that were serious human rights violations, thinking in particularly of apartheid. And I think that the Bahamas has a role to play in leading as well, encouraging restitution for Haiti. So, which group wants to go now? Please, come. Please. Introduce yourself and your group.
Good morning.
Yeah, you have to speak right into it.
Okay. So we came up with a few points. We also did number 4, of course. It was the most popular. And I brought Jackson because he's going to be explaining the kind of movement within Haiti. So I kind of whittled down to 5 points. A very encouraging one is more regular convenings like this one would be what success would look like in 5 years. We talked about the movements that are happening. The French President Macron has a joint commission together, at least on the surface. This seems to be a good sign, but there are no reports out as to what the progress has been since last April when that was put forth. The Haitian government also has a committee, and this needs to be strengthened. There are social fractures within the movement. Fractures are due to 2 focal points. The one for need for intervention, and then there's the ongoing natural disaster recovery. And so just like in the Bahamas where we have multiple calls to help in different ways, there are, within the reparations movement of Haiti, there are fractures. Make reparation vocabulary more conversational in our everyday lives. Akil Mbembe speaks of colonization of thought, and we would decolonize the idea of success as well. So we were trying to kind of play around with the word success, the definition of that very word. And the underlying theme of education was huge for me, something that Gaynell talked to me about, and that I see in my history classes here at UB, that there needs to be a separation between this idea that we have to be strongly anti-migrant and the idea that we need to be humanitarian and we need to reach out and help our brothers and sisters. And Jackson, I wanted you to explain a little bit more about the Haitian committee.
Okay.
Lisa.
As Lisa said, we debate such as the concept of success because we understand that, as say Hannibal Quijano, the coloniality, also Akil Mbembe, the coloniality, the colonization was not also people's working for colonizer, but also it was the colonizer colonized also words. So that's why we had tried to find a great definition or a better definition for the word of success. Why we made all this exercise? It's because when we try to understand what does that mean, the word success today, we see it's always linked to wealth, unlimited wealth, extractivism, and also we see that the definition is totally Eurocentric. That means sometimes success means enjoy a third country. I mean, go to the Bahamas, to Haiti, to the beach, without without understanding the process, the historic process of this country, the struggle of these people. And also, we understand that capitalism infiltrates the concept of success because sometimes it means gain more money and more. Sometimes it means create more building, extract more resources like gold, and also create more technology and modernization and so on. That's why, as say Lisa, we think that the coloniality we have to be one of the words that we have to use to try to find a better definition. Because why coloniality is matter? It's because obviously there is no colonization today in America, this hemisphere, but it is true that the colonization had a lot of impact. And for example, the borders was not created by indigenous people. It was created by the colonizer. So that's the reason why we have to use sometimes other concepts to understand the word of success. And what we finally find that Haiti can be a power, but not a traditional power like military or economic power. Instead, it can be, for example, an epistemology power. Why a country cannot be a power? Because of his knowledge or of his impact, thanks to the knowledge or thanks to the redefinition of concept. And we see that in our history. The redefinition of the concept of black people totally changed the global agenda in this era and totally changed the world. Today we can talk about human rights, humanitarian rights, thanks to this epistemological effort, the redefinition of black people, redefinition of revolution, and so on. And also we think the success of Haiti, we can think the success of Haiti, for example, as wellness, not wealth, but as wellness. For example, the people can find I'm sorry. We understand that Asian people can find his joy, the community can find his connection, and also solidarity can be present in Haiti once. And also freedom, equality, I think this also can be part of the success that we can project in 5 years. And also we also think the healing also can be part of the success, because we think also the colonization had impact in our communities and leave intergenerational trauma. And for example, the lack of confidence into our own brother and sister. And also there was one of our sister which say something, I forget her name, I'm sorry. And he say there is in psychology there is an explanation. For example, the economic disparities can link to the trust disconnection, but also discussing or analyzing the concept of economic, we understand that economic not always lead to money. It can be also patrimony. And when we say patrimony, we say land, we say history, we say memory, museum, and so on. That's the reason why today in Latin America we talk also about economic of knowledge, where knowledge is considered as patrimony, as same as wealth. And to finish, we understand the education also can be one of of the success. And when we say liberation, it's always important to put a word, a concept behind, which could be the liberation education, as say Paulo Freire in his book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed People. Sometimes when the oppressed people don't have a liberation education, his dream is to become an oppressor. And we think that when we say liberation as concept, we talk about sovereignty, the effort of the people to look for his own knowledge, and also the autodetermination, when there is no interference of foreign intervention in the way or the process to look for this knowledge. Thank you.
And then you had mentioned the 14 ships as symbolic, blockade of 14 ships?
No.
You didn't mention that?
Done? Thank you. Thank you very much. Some very, very interesting recommendations coming up. I really wish we had more time to speak about some of these things. It's super exciting for me. I believe we have one or two more groups. Is one? All of the groups in the back went already? Okay, so just one group up front here. Yes, Regine, the floor is yours. Hey. So we need someone to translate for Colette.
Groupe nous n'a pas vraiment désigné au monde pour faire rapport. Bon, nous te travaillons un peu sur question 1, 4 là tout, un petit peu 5.
Okay, our group didn't formally designate somebody for the job, but I'm here, and we worked on 1 and 4 and a little bit 5.
Sur première question, une difficulté nous te ouais, c'est que moun qui plus victime de conséquences toute histoire de colonisation, de violence et d'injustice là, yo pas un lien entre ça y a vivre journée jodi en Haïti et histoire ça.
So one of the challenges that we see is the people who are the most of the victims of this history of colonization and exploitation, they struggle to make the connections between their daily life and that history.
Donc, un travail qui vraiment est pour faire, c'est ouais qui connexion qui gagne entre réalité jodia et ça y a vivre là de manière à ce que yo même yo ka mobiliser pour exiger justice et réparation.
So one of the things that we need to do is to help people make the connections between the conditions they're living in and that history so they can mobilize to fight for justice.
Et je ne dis, c'est vrai, il y a toutes conséquences économiques et sociales, discrimination, etc. que nous avons, mais conséquences politiques sont très présentes.
And so it's easy to see the economic and social consequences of this, but also the political consequences are very present.
Je ne dis, gagner au fur et à mesure une stratégie pour retirer dans Haïti toute souveraineté et c'est des puissances étrangères telles que les États-Unis avec un petit groupe monde en Haïti qui pas gagné pour avec masse monde qui souffrir, c'est eux même qui ont contrôle politique là et qui décider.
So there's been a long-term campaign to remove all sovereignty from Haiti, and today we have a situation where it's the big powers, especially the United States, working along with a small group in Haiti that has no connection with the mass. They are the ones who are controlling the country.
Et malheureusement, nous avons des regroupements de pays tant que CARICOM qui rentrent dans la dynamique là tout.
And unfortunately, we have groups of countries, including CARICOM, that has fallen into that dynamic as well.
Et dans l'espace, avec, tant que par exemple, Nations Unies, là, nous rentrons dans la question qui était pour avec UN Permanent Forum for People, une bonne décision qu'a prend sous Haïti, qui a crasé le pays et qui a retiré dans mes peuples tout pouvoir que le gain pour décider sous ville, c'est dans l'espace ça yo décision ça yo à prendre.
Okay, and we're talking in terms of number 3, UN spaces. It's important to note that there are decisions being made that are crushing Haiti's people and completely eliminating its sovereignty, and those decisions are being made in UN spaces.
Donc, qui gens pour espace ça, UN Permanent Forum, nan capable à travers toute connaissance que vous gagnez, toute information qui est accumulée, vous êtes capable de permettre que nous gagnions l'autre voix, porter l'autre voix pour Haïti, que ça qu'a dit dans une série de réunions internationales qu'a faites pour décider pour Haïti.
And so a challenge for the UN Permanent Forum is, with their expertise, with their knowledge about what's happening in Haiti, how can they make sure that Haiti's voice gets into other UN spaces where decisions about Haiti are being made?
Alors, concernant la quatrième question, ça tape un succès, que nous questionnons le succès. En tout cas, nous avons dit que c'est un changement dans 5 ans. Nous avons dans différents pays, communautés dans les Caraïbes, nous connectons plus avec eux sur la lutte pour l'afro-descendance.
And so in terms of number 4, what would success in 5 years look like? One of the key points would be that we're better connected with movements throughout the Caribbean over this fight.
Et puis ensuite, nous avons des groupes dans différents pays qui ont même apporté un narratif, un discours différent sur Haïti que ça qui a passé dans la grande presse internationale là, et qui a fait connaître Haïti sur l'autre visage.
And we'd also like to have people throughout the Caribbean having a very different discourse about Haiti, one that's different than what you hear in the mainstream media and brings the truth about Haiti.
Et pour nous arriver dans ça, nous avons souhaité que y ait des engagements individuels, institutionnels, que participants yo, qui sont ici là, ou bien que nous-mêmes qui sommes fait un forum, nous prenons pour nous aller un peu dans ce sens pour exiger justice et réparation pour Haïti.
And so in order to achieve those other goals, we'd like to have commitments from people here and movements across the Caribbean and individuals to engage themselves in the fight for restitution and reparations for Haiti.
Merci.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very, very excellent points made. Excellent points made. And yes, we recognize that the forum has more work to do on Haiti. We have identified some priority issues for the forum, and Haitian restitution and reparatory justice is a priority. It is our position that Haiti should remain on the agenda of the United Nations. We fully believe that the root of Haiti's current crisis is the unfortunate historical events and circumstances that have been imposed on that country. So rightly so, Colette, for reminding us that we have to, in the international settings, keep Haiti on the agenda, and we've been doing that. We're not in the business of just doing hundreds of recommendations and forgetting about them. We want follow-up. We're looking at what is being done to implement our recommendations. So just to say, as the Permanent Forum, we are with you, we're supporting you, the recommendations that you have just shared, certainly we will take those into consideration, and I and our former chair of the forum, Dr. June Suma, when we meet in Geneva in a couple of weeks, We will remember you. We will remember you. I will make sure that my presentation mentions this dialogue and this consultation and some of the recommendations that you have shared with us here. So this is not the end of it. I want you to know that I will personally, I asked someone to take notes for me earlier. I will take those notes very seriously and frame them, group them, those recommendations, so that it can go to the UN Permanent Forum. But allow me, first of all, to say thank you. I thought it was a very productive morning. We never have enough time. We need more time. But I thought that it was a very good discussion, excellent presentations, excellent exchange. I heard some of the, I sort of moved around and heard some of the discussions, and certainly the recommendations as you shared here, really very, very important. Thank you all for taking time to be with us this morning. Those of you who traveled here, I am especially grateful to you. The university is also very, very grateful to you. Those of you who are going to be staying on, thank you. Stay on with us. We love to have you for as long as you're here over in the PAC. And I want to say that this is not the end. This is the beginning of what I see as a wonderful relationship with all of our partners. And we hope that, maybe I should also thank again Alicia Wallace and the excellent work she's done in bringing us all together. She was the one who initiated this, by the way. She planted the seed. And Alicia does wonderful work on the rights, human rights of women and girls in the Bahamas and LGBTQI rights. She is a solid human rights advocate. I would say the best that we have in the Bahamas. Right. Certainly putting her mark out there and being persistent. It's not been easy to work on human rights issues, but we appreciate you, Alicia, and we appreciate that you brought us together with this wonderful group and that we had such an excellent dialogue. Thank you, everyone.